All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to everyone watching our Facebook Live here on Mellow 94.7. My name is Neil from the morning show. If you're not used to seeing me in the afternoons, well, I'm here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live to be able to speak to one of our guests whom we'll be partnering with in the next few weeks for some really cool things. I'd like to introduce our guest this afternoon, all the way from India, Mr. Aman Gupta of SPAG. Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon, Neil. It's a pleasure to sort of see you, meet you, and thanks a lot for having me as a part of this show.
And it's good to see you. And off before we started, we were talking about how things were there, and our thoughts and prayers here in the Philippines go out to everyone in India, knowing the kind of how everyone's been really affected by the pandemic there more than we
Thank you,
are
Neil.
here. Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. I think these are challenging times, and yeah, India is having its surge of the cases, but as always, we are hoping that we will sort of pass through this. It will come down in the near future, and I'm hoping that sometime I can travel and see you in Philippines in person.
Yeah, that I look forward to that. I think everyone misses traveling. Everyone misses just meeting up with friends and going out on a Friday night or a weekend, that sort of thing. So fingers crossed, it happens within the next 6 months to a year. And I think our goal right now is to just survive this and get our vaccine and hopefully put things back together, right?
Exactly. I think survive and just see what we can do for the community together. I think there's last time for us to sort of look beyond what we are doing for personal, but really what we could do for the community at large.
Yeah. So anyway, we're here to talk about. We've got somebody watching. Shell Marcelo, good afternoon. See, we can see our Facebook comments here, and so you're from SPAG, and it's a new company here that's set up a branch here in the Philippines. Tell us a little bit about SPAG and what they're all about.
Neil, so our journey in Philippines just started early this year. Having said that, the firm was set up by me and my partner in 2014. It's an integrated marketing communication firm which focuses on few sectors: healthcare, technology, and startup, being three of them. And what we really try to do is that we help to understand the business needs or business goals of the companies, and then offer solutions of kind of a communication solutions which could help achieve this business goals for them. So it's more of an organization which looks at a business impact and choose any possible communication tool to make it happen. And that's what we are. And in the last 6 years of our journey, I would say we have emerged as one of the most awarded Asian firm, which has really sort of moved from one geography to really cover Asia in its totality. And we're really, really happy to be in Philippines, which we think is going to be our next growth geography.
Well, that's great to know that you picked the Philippines. But what is it about the Philippines that you see as a good area for expansion?
Well, I think two, three things. So one is the fact that we see a lot of similarity between India, from where SPAG was sort of kind of originated, or where we sort of basically started our journey with. And I think Philippines, there is a lot of kind of a cultural similarities. There is a lot of similarities in the way which businesses are growing, and which are the sort of driving the economy. Also, I think the economic growth, if you look at the Philippines, the way it is happening, it is one of the fastest growing economy in Asia per se, keeping the COVID aside, because right now with COVID, I think everybody is in a kind of a
Everyone's
gray
affected.
area. Yeah, but otherwise, I think it is one of the fastest growing economy. Huge young population. I think almost 60%. Population which is either earning a living or can earn a living. And I think these all things, along with the fact that the technology startup and the healthcare sectors are growing in Philippines makes it the right market for us to come in, and invest and grow along with the way Philippines is going to grow in the next couple of years.
That's an interesting insight, and I, having come from here, or being here now, I didn't realize that our economy was actually growing that fast. But I guess you see it from you're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and I think we do need to sort of understand that there is the growth and there is the potential. So we need to look at not just what's happening now, but what would be the outlook for the next, say, 4 to 5 years.
So your company does communications now. How important is communications for businesses here in the Philippines, and how do you think it will help them during this pandemic?
Well, I think, and this is something not just what I say, but I have had discussion with a lot of business leaders. But communication is becoming a kind of a business critical or a business essential thing, because, and specifically in current pandemic, because how do you really connect and converse with your different stakeholders? Whether it is your consumers who are buying your goods, or it is your internal team members who are ensuring that the businesses are running, or the external other audiences from your government to your investors. It's very important to ensure that they know who you are, what are you doing, what's your purpose is, what is your vision behind it, what is the relevance of what you're offering. All of this thing, if it's not communicated properly, uh, then there is a business problem. And if it is communicated properly, then it is kind of a business opportunity. So therefore, uh, this becomes a kind of a thing which should be a part of your business planning and not an afterthought.
So you're essentially doing, or relieving the businesses of roughly a third of the work that needs to be done, and they can just focus on their operations and their reason for being there, right?
I would say yes. I think to some extent we do relieve them of the fact that they don't need to communicate. We are, as a specialist and as an expert, will take care of that particular bit. And also, I think it sort of showcases to the businesses that how they can continue to grow over the next couple of years, and this could really act as a growth driver for the businesses.
Yeah, because I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of people in the Philippines aren't really aware of what companies like yourself do. There are a lot of PR companies here in the Philippines already, and we know they're the ones that put out every so often, hey, this is what this company is doing, this is what they're up to these days. But before we went live, you're actually telling me that there's really more to it than just than telling people what you're up to, right?
Exactly, because what what we look at sort of just saying is when you say there is a press release you get, just sort of share with the media, or you just do a media interview. Those are kind of a tactical side of it. What's more essential is, and that's what we as an SPAG focus on, is to understand who your audience is. Who do you really want to talk to, and there to understand what kind of messaging you need to do. So, for example, if I am talking to a consumer of my services or of my product, and that person is currently using something which is of competition, what will help to convert that person from a user of a competition to my user? And I think if we just look at globally, I think one of the best examples we have seen is the use of, kind of a communication is a company like Apple. There
Right.
is a persona of a brand which got created, and that persona was created because of the kind of an integrated communication campaign which over years and years it was sort of developed. And therefore now, I don't know about you, I'm a pretty hard kind of an Apple user, and it's just because we believe that the brand signifies something. It has a persona, it has a purpose, and I think that's
Right,
what we
right.
really were able to make it happen.
I have a confession to make. I am one of you.
And that's the power of communication, Neil.
And it's crazy because you know what has Apple done before they came out with the iPhone 10? Anything higher than $300-400 was expensive, but Apple went and came out with the iPhone 10 and it was $1,000. And and then all of us Apple users looked at each other and said, that's reasonable. But
Exactly.
before they came out with the $1,000 iPhone, we would have flipped our lids if some other brand had come out with uh, a $999 phone, and we would have been up in arms saying, "How do you expect to sell that?" And then now Apple's coming out with phones that are upwards of $1,000, and we're like, can't wait to get my hands on that.
Exactly, and not just the phone. We will have the complete lineup of all different screen sizes, from your Apple Watch to your iPhone to your iPad to your MacBook. So we
Life
need
was
all the
simpler,
screens.
what I think 5 to 8 years ago when you just had one iPhone to choose from. Now you've got, like you said, the different sizes, the economy models, and then you've got more than one iPad. You've got more than one MacBook. It's crazy, but I guess so. What you're telling me is how they are able to reach the market that uh, their products should be bought by, right?
Exactly, and that's the power of communication, because you're able to get the your consumer or your audience to look just beyond the features, but start to become a brand loyalty. It start to understand the purpose, the vision, the leadership. So that's how it is. And therefore the channel is just the tactical part. Which channel will I use? Will I go traditional? Will I go digital? Will I use social? And specifically, as Neil was saying, Philippines with a huge population looking at online, I think that's another space which is going to be big in the coming years.
I think the only force stronger than the Filipino online is the BTS army. That they're stronger. I think they're stronger than any force online.
Ask me, I have a BTS army. My son is in 18 years, and I think I have almost, yeah. So that's we have a BTS army person at my place.
And it's so amazing how all of a sudden what used to be, I remember when I came into the internet in the 90s, and it was just somewhere you could do research. I remember YouTube wasn't even around yet. I mean, I remember watching movie trailers on, I don't know if you've ever heard of quicktime.com.
Yes, I have.
And then how far the internet has come now as a tool for businesses. And you know being in your position, in your line of work, how has the internet um, helped businesses and even yourself? How has the internet helped you help the businesses that you were helping?
So I think there are three parts to it. One is the operational part. Just when the COVID happened, I think we were also used to be in the physical space and operating. And when it hit, we were not really sure whether we will survive, not being into physical space. But internet and the technology has helped us to, continue to work, and continue to ensure that we are able to serve and service our clients, not just in one geography, but across the world. I think that's the second thing, that it has democratized the companies. Now you're not restricted with the geography. It's not about saying I am based in Philippines or I'm based in India, therefore I could only do that. Just the fact that you can now take care of the clients in any part of the world. It's just the time zone difference which is there. That whole democratization has happened. And I think third is, as a communication firm, how you are able to create content and disseminate content to different audiences through multiple channels. I think that's the power of the internet, and that whole content marketing, content amplification, and conversing with your audience almost in real time. gives business a very, very different edge.
It's we've come a long way from dropping a note in a company suggestion box, haven't we?
We have. Now you have is a completely different way. You now drop in a note, but in on a cloud somewhere.
That's right. And then you'll get a reply, whether it's a bot or actually someone on the other side, right?
Exactly, and that somebody could be in anywhere part of the world.
That's true. What really blows me away is with the internet, you can post something up and a friend of yours from high school who you haven't seen in, say, 20 years will like it in a matter of seconds and he's on the other side of the globe. That's just amazing.
Exactly.
It's just I'm still blown away by it.
Same here, Neil. I think it's still, and I think that the aspect of a community which has come up because of the internet, that's what we as a communicator are able to now leverage to build brands. We are able to take the brand from one location to another. So there's no brand which can now say I'm geographically bound to a place where I'm born from. I can explore and take my brand to any part of the world because of not just the conversation of the community, but also the ability through the e-commerce, right? So if you're part, you can really take your brand, and a Filipino brand could be out in the US. There's nothing stopping it, but you
And
need to have a strong communication around it.
correspondence is happening real time now.
Exactly.
It's exactly like what we're doing. You don't have to wait 2 weeks for a reply anymore.
True. And
Or a
any
long
form
distance
of
phone
transaction.
call. What is a long distance phone call? Do people still do that?
Yeah, and you don't need to worry about the huge bills, which I remember I used to be worried about. If I need to call up, I'll sort of see, okay, is there a particular time of the day when you have a discounted rates for
Yeah,
long distance?
I grew up abroad and I remember during the days pre-internet when my dad would call our relatives here, and that was pretty expensive.
It was, it
Yeah.
was.
So we both agree that technology now is really really awesome. So how do you think your line of work is impacted by COVID-19? Um, I think, like you said, it opens up a lot of channels, a lot of opportunities. What kind of opportunities do you think you can offer in terms of communications here in the Philippines?
Well, I think if we look at it, there are two, three things. One is because of the COVID, the healthcare sector has come at the center of conversation. Specifically when it comes to, let's say, vaccination, which we talked about. For the organizations which are in the healthcare, how do you showcase your relevance? How do you talk about, let's say, vaccination per se? Which kind of vaccination or the science behind it? And as a specialist firm, we understand the science communication part very, very well. We are able to demystify the medical into something which is more for the common people and ensure that they're able to take the right decisions in terms of either diagnosis or in terms of the meeting up with the doctor. So I think that whole line of opportunity has started to grow, and also the fact that how can now they use and talk to the doctors through technology, because earlier people would sort of go and say I need to go and visit a clinic, but in the current time that whole conversation between your doctor and yourself has changed. So now you can do that conversation through online, through virtual meetings, so on and so forth. So I think that ability to sort of showcase, communicate that change and get people to act on it is something which we can do. And I would say the next one, and that's the whole technology and the startup ecosystem, which I would say would be the next growth area. How do we showcase what their offering will be and how it is something which could really change the way either businesses are run, or how the people's lives is going to change, or how even from a government perspective things can really sort of go for a betterment. Communicating all of that is what the huge opportunity for firms like ours exists now.
What do you think some of the challenges could be? Um, especially now that it's so easy to share information that somebody has forwarded to you. Do you see that as a stumbling block?
It is, and it is a huge issue. And I think there is a larger conversation happening by global organization like WHO, and we were involved into one of that thing. So last year we started working with WHO on what we call the rumors as misinformation, listening and analytics. Because as you rightly said, there's a lot of things which are out there, and not everything might be factually correct, and people do share that without realizing whether it is actually correct or not, and it could lead to panic, scare, fear amongst the people. At that time, to get people to understand what is factually right is the kind of role which our firms play and partner with some of these global organizations. uh, and I think that is the challenge, because such kind of a scare or the fear could cause kind of an inappropriate behavior. People could panic,
Right.
they could do things which are wrong. And this whole science is now called infodemiology. It's a new science which has been coined in the COVID times. It's something which you will see coming up in the in the years. And then again, the internet, there is complete freedom of saying anything and disseminating in everything.
Everyone's an expert.
Everybody is an expert, and everybody has a views which they want to share.
That's right. And it is a double-edged sword.
That's true.
The internet. All right, so you've got something coming up in the next few weeks here, online, but actually here in Manila, right? Would you
Yes,
like to
we
tell us
have.
about it?
Yes, so one of our initiatives called SPAG Dialogue, and the idea behind this SPAG Dialogue series is to really bring some of the key business leaders to come together and share their experiences, their learnings, and it helps the larger community to sort of learn from them. So as a part of that, we are going to host our first SPAG Dialogue in Philippines later this month on the 20th. The idea is to bring some of the leadership from the startups to talk about their stories, how they have really ensured during this kind of a pandemic, how the business has been resilient, how they have undergone the different challenges and come out of it. And I would say, we have an amazing lineup. Our regional lead Priyanka would be moderating it, and I think it's something which I am looking forward to. I think there will be a lot to learn from all of these four, great business leaders, and those learnings could really help others to sort of see how they need to come out of such a pandemic and navigate their way out of the crisis to build a much more stronger business.
Awesome. This looks like it's going to be really really interesting.
It will be.
Cool. And it's just amazing how the internet has empowered a lot of businesses, alternative businesses, during the pandemic. A lot of traditional businesses have been forced to close or shutter their stores while we're under quarantine. But there are other businesses that have taken off on Facebook, and I think we here in the Philippines have used the empowerment that Facebook has given us. There are a lot of people selling stuff. The food business is booming. How are things in India with businesses having been
Well,
affected by the pandemic?
I think, Neil, it's pretty much similar. Some of the traditional models have taken a beating, and people have to sort of adapt and change the way they run businesses. So just looking from a food business, so quite a lot of restaurants have moved from a physical store or physical places to go and eat to a more cloud kitchens, as they call it, because people are staying home. And I don't know about you, but we order much more now than what we used to be maybe earlier.
Yeah,
You
same here.
know, because you feel just hungry a lot more often than what you used to be when it was a normal world. So I think from that perspective, the good part is that businesses have adapted. I think they have understood. Um, that this is here to stay for a while, and if it is to here to stay, we need to change the way we run the operations. We need to uh, understand how the consumer preferences have changed, and I think so that's the big one. Also, I think the whole e-commerce side has changed the thing. So as you rightly said, now a particular producer of a good, even if it's a small one in a small city of India, can ensure that he or she has an audience which is just not in that city. That person has an audience or a consumer which spans across India and, if possibly, across the globe. And I think that shift, which would have taken, say, 10 years to happen, the COVID has brought in that change in 1 year. So it was bound to happen, but it just hastened up quickly that the technology, the internet, the digitization has made the whole business ecosystem adapt it, and not just adapt it, but thrive on the new technology to reach out to its audiences.
So essentially, a lot of industries and were forced to grow exponentially.
Oh yes, because the ask become much higher because people might be consuming more, maybe at different things, but they are consuming. It's not that they are not consuming; it's just they are sourcing it differently.
And that's why you're here, is to
That's
make
why we
sure
are.
that everybody hits the right audience and sells to the right people.
Exactly, Neil. Thanks a lot for saying. I could not have said better.
Well, it was great talking to you, man. And you know what? Uh, Maybe when this is all over and you drop by here, we can finally meet up and shake each other's hand.
Thanks a lot, Neil. It was pleasure. Thanks for me having me on this show.
My
And
pleasure.
yeah, I'm hoping that sooner than later I could be in Philippines and meet you in person.
Great. And thanks for actually educating me and everyone here at Mellow 94.7 on the kind of things that communications companies do. It's actually pretty interesting. And, having one of your associates, Pipai, who is backstage right now, I've noticed that it is an interesting industry to get into, the communications thing. And it does have its challenges, but I think that's part of finding giving a lot of businesses and industries a voice.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess we'll speak to you soon. Again, our friends from SPAG have this happening, a little webinar happening on May 20. You can check it out. I'll be posting this up on our Facebook page. Again, thank you so much, Aman, for spending, what is it? What time is it in India now? About
It's gonna be about 11:40 in the
So
first half of
you're
the day.
probably about ready for lunch. We're about ready
Yes.
for afternoon snack. So we'll see you around soon, and you have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Neil. Stay safe. Take care.
You stay safe too, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye bye.